everyone, this is Julia with episode number 88 of the Mixology Talk podcast. This week is a bit of a special episode because we are joined by the one and only Erick Castro to talk a little bit about his documentary film, Bartender At Large. We had the opportunity to see a screening in San Francisco earlier this year, and I have to say it's an amazing film about the lesser-known craft cocktail scenes in small towns all over the U.S. As always, links and bonus information are available in the show notes at mixologytalk.com/88. Without further ado, let's dig into the interview. So hey, Erick, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So we are here with Erick Castro, and he is the director and I think perhaps the source of the idea behind the Bartender at Large documentary. And I wanted to sort of bring him on to talk a little bit about the documentary and the process and kind of tell us the story of how it came to fruition. So where'd the idea come from?
Well, it's an idea that I'd been kind of stewing on for a few years and kind of tried to make happen. It seems like it kept falling apart at the last minute every time that we got close to it. It's like we actually had a sponsor pretty much locked down in like 2013, and that fell apart. And then in 2014, 2015, it kept coming to the final stages. And I think what it was is like the route that I was trying to take was to work with like a liquor company who was going to sponsor it. And now in retrospect, I realized what a bad idea that would have been, because I think, it would have lost a bit of its authenticity. It would have kind of come off as like a commercial.
Yeah, and they may have wanted to sort of change what it actually change the content of the documentary, right? And like make you drink certain things or...
Yeah, it made me have certain experiences and visit accounts that were more priorities for them. I wanted to make sure that, as a writer myself, I wanted to make sure that the film itself had like journalistic integrity and we didn't have to make any compromises along the way.
Absolutely. So what was the original idea, and would you say that the final product is the perfect representation of that, or did it change along the way?
It did actually evolve. In the original concept of, when I first was, dreaming of the idea, we just wanted to basically hit a bunch of cities, and talk to bartenders and capture their experiences. But as the cocktail industry grew and as time went by, I was realizing that a lot of these cities that are making amazing cocktails are getting the national attention that they should be. So we kind of pivoted the idea rather to, maybe about 2014, we pivoted the idea. Let's focus on the cities that aren't getting a lot of love. Let's go to places like Boise. Let's go to Phoenix, Arizona. Let's go to Santa Fe and find out what's going on there. Yeah,
I think that was the thing that was really compelling for me, was that, you hear a lot about great cocktails in London and in Manhattan and in San Francisco and now even New Orleans, but not so much about Boise and Park City and these other cities that I know you went to. So how many cities did you actually go to?
We went to 12 cities.
Wow.
All in varying sizes as well. And one thing that is interesting to me is that, some of these cities that don't get a lot of attention are, places like Phoenix, Arizona, which is huge. It's one of the 10 largest cities in the country in terms of population. And even they're not getting a lot of attention. So we wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I don't really think of Phoenix when I think of cocktail towns, but it sounds like they've got some good stuff going on.
Oh, they have amazing cocktails at some really great bars. The scene's still a little bit newer, maybe about 4 or 5 years old, probably about 6 years old, but it's growing exponentially and people are loving it.
Are there any cities that you really wished you could have gotten to, but you just couldn't fit in the schedule?
Ooh,
or all of them?
I want to go to Plano, Texas. I have not been to Plano, Texas, and I heard that they have an incredible cocktail scene.
Is that coming in the sequel?
You never know. You never know what could happen, but yeah, Plano's definitely on my radar.
Oh, that's fantastic. So when you think about this sort of the documentary and the story that you're trying to tell, and if you're, let's say you get a phone call from your grandmother and grandma says, well, what's it about? What would you tell her?
The way we consider the movie is really, it's a love letter to the American cocktail. And although the idea was that, we were going to kind of study bartending in different cities, what really ended up happening was that it was almost like a glimpse into the permeation of the cocktail into American culture. It was the craft cocktail, which essentially was born in America, with the Renaissance going on, the Renaissance, no one will debate, really started in, places like New Orleans, New York and San Francisco, but it's trickling its way into every crevice of American society. Again, as it should.
Absolutely. Into all these little, smaller, lesser known towns.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, that's fantastic. So you went to loads of cities, and how long was your trip?
The trip was about 5 weeks. A little over 5 weeks.
That just sounds crazy to me.
It was absolutely ridiculous. We lived out of a car and stayed at little Motel 6s.
That's
and
incredible.
Ate at gas stations. Because, obviously we're working bartenders ourselves, everyone who was involved filmed it. So we had to make sure that our budget lasted the entire time. So
did you do any like guest bartending gigs along the way?
Yeah, we actually guest bartended in every city we went to.
That is awesome.
I bartended in every city I went to. Like the only one I actually wasn't allowed to bartend in was Santa Fe. That's because New Mexico has these weird laws on getting behind the bar. But they still made my cocktails, which was pretty cool.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
One thing I am proud of is that I had a different menu for every city.
Wow, that's impressive.
Which was hard to do. Yeah. Only I think maybe like 2 drinks repeated over the entire trip, but it was pretty crazy.
That is impressive. Yeah. And I one thing that I know you were telling me before was that you left with very few spirits and returned with quite a few spirits. I mean, it sounds like you acquired some good booze along the way too.
Yeah, people kept giving us alcohol, which we were complaining about, but it seems like it was just there was so much of it.
You pick up a U-Haul halfway through.
Yeah, we probably should have. This next trip, if we do one, we'll probably be like bring a trailer with us.
Bring a trailer.
But it was really cool, especially when we think about that the craft cocktail renaissance is occurring, but not just that, it's not happening independently of everything else that's going on. So everywhere we went to had amazing distilleries, and some of which I'd never heard of. Actually, most of which I'd never heard of.
That's interesting. When I think of your cocktail scene, I always think of the bars. I don't necessarily think of the distilleries, but they are so much a part of it as well. I think that you definitely get a lot of that craft influence comes from what's in the bottle.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and just a whole other range of ingredients that you get to pull from and kind of, emphasize and kind of bring out all the highlights. And so I kind of agree with you. It's like you have all these new things that you can incorporate into cocktails and create something completely different from what we had even 5 years ago,
Yeah, I'm thinking of one place off the top of my head, AZ Distilling in Arizona. They're making whiskey, but their whole one of their ideas is just like, hey, look, we're not going to try to out Kentucky. Like we want to make whiskey, but an American whiskey, but we want it to be unique to Arizona. So they have this whiskey they make they use durum wheat, which durum wheat is mostly used in like Italian food and pastas.
Right.
And Arizona is one of the number one places for growing it in the world because the climate's perfect for it. So they took this durum wheat and they started making a whiskey out of it. That's absolutely fantastic. It's beautiful. It tastes like chocolate mint, right? And I've never had another whiskey like it ever.
Wow.
It tastes like nothing else. And I think it's like these places are embracing their limitations, right? And it's becoming their strengths.
That's really cool. Now you said you visited quite a few distilleries during the trip. Besides this one, the AZ Distilling, was there any other kind of like highlights, like, 1 or 2 spots that just like were like these sparks of like, oh my God, this is amazing?
Oh yeah. So many of the places. High West was super cool. We got a chance to go to Leopold Brothers.
Sure.
And of course, House Spirits. But one of the places we went to that I'm actually upset that didn't get to make it in the movie, it didn't make the final cut, was we went to a brewery in Tucson called Dragoon Brewing, which is like they make absolutely beautiful beer.
Sure.
I said that weird. I'll start over. They make amazing beer, and everything they made was so good. And I was thinking like, why? When are these guys going to get distribution in California? Because I want to drink this on a regular basis. It was that good.
Wow.
I think that's got to be one of the benefits of this style of trip is that, one of the things we run into when we talk to folks in different smaller towns is they'll tell us about, there's this amazing product. We have a friend in Hawaii who was telling us about some amazing products that they have out there that simply aren't distributed here. And so it's kind of fun to see that side of things. And very much the local flavor is often not distributed as widely because it may not appeal beyond the state borders. But I think we kind of miss out in some ways.
We do.
Yeah.
And I actually, if you look back, even maybe I've heard people telling me like the 60s and 70s up until even the early 80s, if you went on a road trip, there were like different fast food restaurants. There was different candy at the liquor store. You had different sodas. There was a large variety of differing flavors from city to city, region to region. And, just because of corporate consolidations, it's like the candy selection at, liquor store in San Diego is now identical to like the candy selection of a liquor store in, Philadelphia, right? And it's like up until just like, 10, 20, 15, 30 years ago, whatever, it was not the case. Right. You had a large gamut of varieties. And I feel like we're in danger now of like this homogenous flavors across the country.
It's so true. I think, you get your Chipotle here and your Chipotle burrito in New Jersey, and it's going to taste pretty close because that's what they bring is that consistency. But on the other hand, you lose the local flavor.
Yeah, it's so beautiful when you travel and you see how all these things are just a little bit different in each place you go to.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love that you went to the smaller towns. I think that's a really compelling story. We will often hear from folks who are from the smaller towns because that's sort of the nature of our website and our podcast, is that we're trying to reach the folks who can't necessarily be in your San Franciscos and Manhattans. And I think if you ever do another one of these tours, definitely reach out. We might be able to give you a shout out on the podcast, see if we can connect you.
On. Try to get some people out. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Definitely to meetups or something. Right. Yeah, that would be fun.
It's fun. And that's the coolest thing, is actually going out and just meeting people, and seeing what's going on in the passion. And, largely because of stuff that you guys are doing and other things on the internet and, all these amazing recipe databases and stuff online, the cocktail, it's not this secret anymore. It's not like, making a balanced drink isn't something that, that you have to go find some archaic book to research now. Now it's just on Google.
Right.
So because there's amazing drinks across the country, around the world.
Absolutely. It's not a handful of people who are experimenting now. It's 1,000 people who are experimenting, and you get amazing ideas that come out of that.
And you're sharing results. Sharing the pros and cons, your successes and failures, and everybody's learning from everything that happened before them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So we've talked a lot about the documentary itself, but I also wanted to pick your brain a little on everything else. I mean, you have such an incredible career behind the bar that I think we would be remiss not to touch on that a little bit. When I think of Erick Castro, of course, I think of Polite Provisions, and I can't be the only one who says that.
Yeah.
And the T-shirt. I love the Polite Provisions T-shirt, which is a little not safe for work, but I think it's those who know exactly what I'm referring to.
Polite AF.
There you go. I like it. But I mean, how would you say your career kind of primed you for this documentary? And would you say that has the documentary changed your trajectory as you look forwards in your career?
I don't know. I don't really spend all that much time looking into the future. Like, the idea was everybody's asking what our plan for the movie was, and it's like, or what it is, and I don't really even quite know, just because I guess we never really started with the end plan, which I'm sure we should have. But we didn't expect it to be so large in scope. But I guess one of the things that really primed me for this film was that when I first started bartending, I didn't know what fresh juice was. I sure as heck didn't think about putting it in a cocktail. And I was just, making Cosmos and making them fast and using, powdered margarita mix, that you would having sweet and sour on the gun. And so I felt like, I kind of knew everything there was about making cocktails, even though I didn't, right? So once I started making cocktails, once I started using fresh ingredients, it was just like a whole world open to me. And I was like, wait, I was just this kid from San Diego who's learned to make cocktails from the guys in San Francisco. And it got me thinking, like, wait, I can't be the only person who's went through this transformation. It has to be going on across the country. And it just as expected, it's going on, it's going on everywhere, whether it's like, you're in a suburb of Texas or, in a small town in Idaho, you're learning how to make good cocktails.
Yeah. So when do you think that kind of this community hit like its critical mass? It kind of got its own engine going. Because I know, like, for me, it was, this has been going on for quite a while since, Dale DeGraff Rainbow Room, and it started to kind of spread out to very small pockets all over the country. But then something happened, and, it became a lot more well-known. Like, people all over the country started to really focus in on this craft aspect and kind of go to the fresh and then kind of evolve from there. Like, in your opinion, kind of when did that all start, and how did you see that kind of progress into kind of what it is now? Because it's like you said, and as we see in this film, it's everywhere, and it's not going away.
I really think what brought us to this point where we're at with cocktails now is just people just became more aware of what they were eating and drinking.
Sure.
And I don't think that anybody ever came to terms like, oh, I need to drink good cocktails. Mm-hmm. What happened is people started going like, oh, maybe I shouldn't eat at this fast food chain because the food's full of chemicals. And then the next thing, you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't drink this crappy coffee. I should get something from like, this roasted locally.
Sure. And
then eventually that trickles down and then changes the way, you drink your coffee, the way you drink your beer, and then eventually the way you drink your cocktails.
Sure.
And I think it's all connected. You can't say like fresh is better just for this aspect of my life.
Sure.
It's a cohesive way of looking at things.
So I there was a couple of standout points in the movie for me, and I hope I'm not giving away anything secret.
Oh, no worries.
But one of the my favorite scenes from the movie was when you guys visited the citrus garden. Yeah, and
the experimental citrus groves.
Yeah, so I was hoping you can kind of like elaborate on that a little bit, kind of paint the picture of this point in the movie.
Okay, so there's these experimental citrus groves that are on government land. They're part of the University of California, Riverside. So UC Riverside has them, and so much of the citrus industry actually started in Southern California. That we know it today, and so there's these groves on there. The weather's perfect for it. They have over 1,000 varieties of citrus.
That's crazy.
Over 1,000, and any flavor combination, any concoction you can imagine is occurring there. And as a bartender who works with citrus, and really we're only working with 4 types of citrus behind the conventional bar.
Sure.
Right? You're using, grapefruit, orange, lemon, lime, right? If you're really adventurous, right, and you're like using yuzu or whatever, right, you're using maybe 7 types of citrus.
Right.
So that means that there's about, 993 plus that we're not using. And there's so many different flavors in anything you can think of. I mean, I tried limes that tasted, well, they look like limes because they were green, but I had some that tasted like peppercorns, some that tasted like cucumber.
Oh, that's crazy.
Any flavor you can think of. And it was crazy. And flavors that I can't even really pinpoint because I don't really even have a reference for them.
Sure. Wow. So was there one particular one that was just like, holy crap, if I could get this, I'd put it in like at least 3 of my cocktails or something like that.
There was one in particular that I really liked. And it was, it looked like a grapefruit, but it had the acidity of a lemon. So it was like, it could carry sour on its own.
Sure.
And it tasted like pink peppercorns and cotton candy.
Oh, that's crazy.
And it was absolutely insane. And I tasted it and was like, oh my God, I need to put this on the menu. So I asked our guide, this gal by the name of Tracy, I was like, can I use this to put on my menu at Polite Provisions? And she says, I wouldn't recommend that. There's only 2 of those trees in North America. And it just hit me like how blessed the bartenders of the future are going to be, the ones who can use this stuff.
Right.
Because it's going to blow the hinges off everything that we know in terms of sours today.
Sure. That's crazy. Yeah. So one of the other questions I was going to ask you is just during the making of this film, you said you were on the road for 5 weeks and going out and talking to all these bartenders and getting exposed to a whole different community out there. What was the one memory that will always stand out for you from that kind of trip on the road and that kind of evolution and, that travel that you took out there? What was like one of the coolest things that you're like, I will always remember this when I was making that movie?
Oh, shoot. That's a tough question.
And it could be any, I mean, there was so many, I'm sure that.
Really, if there was one moment that really I felt was like kind of life-changing, it was probably going to the experimental citrus groves.
Sure.
I've never seen anything like that in my life, and I really wish every bartender out there could have the opportunity to experience it.
Yeah, nice.
Is that something that the public can go and see?
Ooh, you can set up a tour.
Okay.
But it's kind of difficult to get into. I'm pretty sure.
So we can set up a tour with a handful of bartenders.
The USBG actually, I think, has taken bartenders out there before.
Oh, fantastic!
From LA. Like, you need to come through with like a proper group.
Yeah.
Because what it's used for is it's mostly used for like flavor research.
That makes sense.
So it's like,
yeah.
if some of these big flavor houses will come out and be like, oh, we need a new flavor for Bubblicious.
Okay.
And they'll kind of go through there. Some of their flavor experts will go through and pick out some of the craziest things they can find. It's a lot of extracts, a lot of I'm also thinking a lot of like bakeries and pastry and stuff will come through as well.
BYOJ, bring your own juicer.
Yeah.
And simple and whatever spirit you're working with, and make
Anything
a cocktail party out of it. Are they pretty open? Or do they let you like?
Oh, I don't think you're ready.
Pull down the fruit.
It's a campus. Yeah, they'll let you pull down the fruit.
I'm sure to a limited
all the
extent.
Trees are numbered as well. All the trees are numbered, and you have this big book that has everything written down and all the.
That's amazing. So you couldn't go to a tree and be like, I will take 40 of these.
No, you'll like take every lemon that's off of or every piece of fruit that's off of the tree. One of the things that struck me as the weirdest is that to learn that limes and lemons are actually the same color when they're both fully ripe, but the industry picks them green so that we can tell the difference between them at the store.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, there's actually no real. They're the same. They're like limes turn yellow when they're fully ripe.
That's totally crazy.
And it blew my mind.
Oh, wow.
On the inside as well?
No, I don't know about that. I haven't tested it, but
wow, that's kind of mind blowing. Like that's pretty crazy. Oh, wow. That you just blew my mind.
I know, it's crazy, huh? It's crazy.
Yeah. So a couple other questions I was going to ask you. And this is something I like to ask bartenders just in general. Like, you've been in the career for a while, and if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice on your very first shift behind the bar, like Erick Castro now, Erick Castro, your first day behind the bar, what would that advice be?
I'd probably tell myself to relax a little bit.
Sure.
Because I think in like your early days, it's easy to take everything too seriously and get too sensitive about it. Like, you know, one of the gifts I like as a bartender that I have the ability to kind of turn somebody's day around. You know, even though I might only have, 45 minutes an hour with this person sitting in front of me, I can help put them in a good mood and help them, pivot their day from, stressful to a relaxful evening.
Sure.
But no matter how hard you try, you can't do that for everybody.
Right.
Some people are just, maybe their problems run too deep for you to be able to fix it in such a short amount of time. Everyone has stresses going on that we don't know about, we're not privy to. So I think when I was younger, I took it really personal if I couldn't connect with everybody and if I couldn't save everyone from their bad day.
Sure.
Or if someone just came in, they were just a jerk, right? And I would just tell myself to just hey, relax. You gave this guy a great service and he stiffed you on $100. Relax. It's not the end of the world.
Sure.
Okay. Everything will work out.
Nice. All right. One other question for you is, what is kind of either your favorite memory of being behind the bar or one of the craziest things that's ever happened? Like your biggest WTF moment behind the bar, or just a really cool memory that you have? Just like, man, this is why I do my job.
One time when I was bartending at Rick House, when I think it was 2010, the Giants were having a hell of a season. They were just playing really good.
Uh-huh.
They actually ended up winning the World Series that year, 2008, 2009, I forget. And all the Giants, all their players after one of the games, after a playoff game, all came to Rick House.
Are you kidding me?
So they just it was I don't know, maybe about 10 of them all came in.
Oh, wow.
They just started partying. Everybody was just the Giants are hanging out at Rick House.
That's crazy.
And the staff, it just everybody was they just won. They were in a great mood. San Francisco was feeling good. The bar was still new, so everyone was pumped and happy to be there. And just it set a really good vibe for the night. Yeah,
that energy must have been unreal that night.
Yeah, it was crazy. And everybody was just doing shots of tequilas, with the Giants, and it was a good night.
Wow.
Good night all the way around.
Man, just to be in that environment must just have been just mind-blowing.
Oh, they were all super cool guys, really humble, super friendly, and everyone had a good time that night.
Very cool. That's a damn good experience right there, man. I think that's all the questions I have.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us and talking a little bit about the documentary. I know that it sounds like you're still kind of finalizing the details of how it's going to be available for the public, but we'll definitely fill everybody in so you can go take a look when it's available. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. If anybody wants more information, they can check out bartenderatlarge.com. And I think that's your Instagram handle too, right? Bartender at Large? Bartender at Large, yeah. Awesome. We'll put all those links in the show notes for sure. And definitely stay tuned. We'll give you some instructions on how you can go and see the documentary. We were able to actually get a screening, an industry screening recently. And I can tell you right now, it's absolutely worth your time. It's really, really well done. Yeah, it's an amazing insight into bartending. It's really cool. So definitely want to check that movie out. Thanks so much, Eric. Oh, thank you so much. Cheers. Thank you so much, Eric, for taking the time to join us. Now, if you are interested in learning more about the film or just watching the trailer, head on over to bartenderatlarge.com. Eric let me know the film will be hitting the film festival circuit along with select industry screenings throughout the summer, so be sure to check out the website for tour dates. And while you're at the website, click on the link that'll take you to his YouTube channel. We may or may not have been on one of his episodes recently, so definitely keep an eye out for that. And if you do get the opportunity to see the documentary, I would highly recommend it. It's an amazing look at the part of our industry that doesn't always get the spotlight, and it's definitely worth it. Thanks again to Eric for taking the time to join us and to create such an amazing documentary for our industry. Until next time, cheers! Never miss an episode by subscribing in iTunes or YouTube. And as always, check out the show notes by clicking on the right.